Hi guys, my name is Zach Melton from Dynamic Discs, and I'd like to show you what's in my bag. I'm going to start off with my putters. I have 3 throwing putters, 2 molds. The first is a Lucid Warden. It's got the Captain America Dimax on it. This is probably my favorite throwing putter I've ever used, probably in my career. The Warden is just straight. Best way to explain the Warden is it is straight and it does whatever you want it to do. It goes really far for a putter, and definitely my go-to for putters off the tee and approaches. The other putter I carry is the Slammer. I carry 2 of them. The first one is a white one. It's a prototype. It's the first Slammer we got at, I believe it was the Gentleman's Club. And it's gotten a little more seasoned, a little more beat in, and it's my favorite sidearm approach putter. I use it in the woods, out in the open a little bit, but really it comes in handy in the woods for a forehand approach disc. Really love the Slammer. And then the other one is a yellow first run Slammer. This one is newer than the white, and so it's got a little bit more beef, a little bit more overstable. And so I use this a little bit more backhand out in the open for hyzer approaches. Almost 70% of the time if I throw a putter backhand, it's going to be a Warden, but if it's a little windy, if it's in the open, and I really need that predictable hyzer finish, I'm going to go to the Slammer. And for putting, I use the Judge. These have the hand-eye supply stamp on them. Really love, these are kind of off-white with the rainbow stamp. Love this stamp. These are Prime Judges. I've putted with the Judge in Prime, and Classic Blend. I can putt with any plastic except for the soft, but I'm really liking these Prime Judges right now. I love the beaded feel for putting putter, but these go so straight for a beaded putter. So different than any other putter I think I've used that has the bead. Very, very straight, pretty much point and shoot. People actually are surprised when they see me putt with them. They ask me if I'm putting with a Warden, and it's actually, I'm like, no, it's a Judge. Love the Judge. Super straight putter, very dependable, and goes in a lot. Next, I'm going to go to my mid-ranges, and I carry 4 mids. The first one I'll talk about is the least used. This is a Fusion Justice. It's got the GBO stamp on it from 2015. The Justice is a disc that you don't really need to throw a lot, but when you do, it is the perfect disc for that shot. It's very overstable. I use it backhand and forehand both. Very dependable in the wind. If it's too windy for an approach shot for the Slammer, you know, sometimes you get in high winds where you just don't really want to use a putter. The Justice is what I go to for both backhand and sidearm, so very dependable. The next mid I want to talk about, I have a Fusion Verdict. The Verdict is it's an overstable mid, but it's so fast and has a lot of glide that most overstable mids don't have. You can do a lot with the Verdict. It's not just throw it and it drops to the ground. You can get a lot of good distance out of it. Definitely dependable, and that's what I go to for overstable mid-range shots. And the mid I throw the most has got to be the EMAC Truth. I carry 2 of them. The first is a Moonshine EMAC. And these things start off very overstable. When they're brand new, they are close to a Verdict in stability. Very fast, very glidey. Love the EMACs, so straight. Definitely my favorite mid that Dynamic makes. Definitely my most thrown mid. If you need a straight, dependable mid-range, the EMAC Truth is the way to go. And the other one I have is a Lucid EMAC. It's got the tie-dye, and this one is a little bit straighter than the Moonshine. This one I haven't had as long, but it's kind of become my mid I like to throw in the woods for tunnel shots, for hyzer flip. It got a little bit seasoned in where I was kind of throwing it around trees a little bit more, and so if I need to throw a turnover shot, I can kind of power up, throw it a little bit harder, give it a little angle, and it holds a nice smooth turnover. It's not flippy, but I can make it turn if I need it to. But the EMAC is just very versatile. It goes straight. You can make it hyzer turn. Just a faster Warden, really. I'm gonna go to my fairways next, and I have a decent amount of them. The first one I wanna talk about, actually, we'll start with the less stable. I love throwing the Moonshine Escape. I know a lot of people don't use the Escape that much. From what I've seen, this is one of my favorite discs that I throw. From the start, from January 1st, when I started, picking up new discs and learning and trying to figure it out, I knew the Escape would be in the bag. I love a disc that you can start on hyzer and get it to work up to flat, get it to turn. You can pretty much make an Escape do anything. Very, very, very good turnover disc. They are a little less stable, but you can also hit them with a lot of hyzer and smooth and get them to pop up and go straight. I throw the Escape a lot in the woods. Man, it'll help you shape some shots that you probably wouldn't think that you could do, but Escape, very, very good turnover disc. Next up, and stability-wise, is my Lucid Convict. This one isn't the Paige Pierce signature one, but she did sign it for me since I got it before that. She actually picked this one out. It's the first Convict I got from Dynamic. It's got different colored blues and sparkles in it. And for everything how I like to use the Escape backhand, the Convict does that sidearm. I do use it backhand somewhat. It's a very straight fairway driver. But for me, the Convict is the greatest sidearm fairway disc in the woods for shaping shots I think I've ever used. I can hit it with hyzer and smooth, and it'll pop up to straight and go straight. I can hit it a little harder and it'll pop up and turn. You can hit it hard and flat and it'll just hold a nice smooth turnover. And it'll still hyzer at the end. It still has hyzer no matter how much I beat this thing up, because I've beat it up a lot. But love throwing the Convict sidearm, especially in the woods. Next up, I want to talk about the Fortress by Westside Discs. This is pretty new to my bag. I put it in my bag probably a week before Beaver State and was testing it out, and the Fortress is a great fairway. I don't know if you haven't tried one, definitely throw it. It's a speed 10, so it's quicker for fairways, has a ton of glide, and it's really straight. Not a ton of fade, but enough fade to where it's always going to come back. It's not going to flip over on you. Try Fortress out. Next up, I carry 3 Felons. The first one I want to talk about, it's got the Skull Die by my buddy Nate Switz in Virginia from Roanoke. Thanks, buddy. This die he does is awesome, but this is the first Felon I was ever given. So it's definitely the most seasoned, the most broke in. I really like using this sidearm. For everything how I love the Convict, this Felon is just the next stability up. So I can throw it pretty much the same way and I don't have to worry about it, not worry about it, but the Convict I want to use if I want to get some turn. This Felon just goes really straight and then has hyzer at the end. You'll see me throw this a lot, especially in the woods, especially on upshots. The next one I have is a Fusion Captain America Shield Dimax. This Felon I use backhand. Almost always use the Skull one sidearm. This one I use backhand strictly only. It's got a little bit of pop in the middle, and it's just got a great dependable fade. I use this disc a lot out in the open, probably around 350 down to 300, just throwing smooth hyzers. Comes in handy in the woods too for shaping shots, starting it on a little bit of turnover, letting it flatten, come out, but love the Felon. And the last Felon I use is a Prototype Lucid. Love this disc. It also has the lift in the middle, a little bit of pop, and it's got that overstability that you can just count on always. I do throw this one backhand and sidearm, but mostly sidearm. If I need a little bit more hyzer than the Skull Felon will give me, then this is the one I'm going to throw. If I've got to start the sidearm out on a little bit more angle, like on turnover, and have it come out, I'll definitely use the Prototype. It's got a little bit more hyzer, and I can always trust it to come back. And the last of the fairways is a Fusion Criminal. Woo! This thing is overstable. If you need a wind fighting mid-range, this is it. Super flat. It's a 10-speed, so it's very quick for a fairway, but it's also very overstable. You don't have to worry about the criminal flipping on you ever. It will not do it. I've thrown it in some windy situations and it'll hold straight for a long time and then hyzer still. If it's not windy, then I can rip on it hard and flat and it's gonna hyzer out. If you need a overstable fairway, the criminal is the one you should try. And now to the drivers. The first one I want to talk about is the Defender, because I use it the most. I would say the Defender is probably my go-to distance driver. The first two I want to talk about are both Fusion, and they're both 167, as you can see. The yellow one has been used a little bit more than the pink. The pink is new to the bag, but the reason why I have these in the bag, if you can see, they're very flat for a Defender, which is rare, I think. Most of the time you get a little bit of dome on them, which is great. But the flat ones I love to throw sidearm. It's where they're flatter, it's a little bit more shallow, it feels great in the hand for a sidearm, as you can see. These are my go-to sidearm distance drivers. These are the only two pretty much you'll see me use most of the time. The yellow one I put in the bag early in the year. Actually picked it up from Pluto Sports, I believe, in Knoxville on my way to Emporia. I just stopped to check out the shop and just happened to find this really flat gem and I decided to try it out. You'll see any video probably in the last year, if it's a sidearm and it's yellow and it's a longer shot, probably around 350 or longer, it's gonna be this Fusion Defender. Used it a lot at Beaver State, at Worlds, and Iron Hill the last 3 tournaments. Starting to get a little seasoned where it goes a little straighter, so I decided to put a new one in the bag, and here we got Pinky. Started throwing it the last 3 weeks. Flies exactly like the yellow one did when it was brand new. It's great. It still holds a straight line, and then it has a nice, dependable hyzer at the end of it. So, love the Defender. The next 3 are all Biofusion. I love the Biofusion plastic, very tacky, very grippy. The first one I got these 2 blueberries. This one was given to me by Jonathan Ray, J. Ray, at Gentleman's Club. I had a twin to this, threw it in the water, and he goes to his RV and pulls out the exact same disc and gave it to me, which that was a lifesaver. And it's been in my bag since then. I've thrown it at every tournament. This has been my go-to distance driver this year. The Biofusion has a nice pop to it. They're very overstable, and then the more you use them, the straighter and longer they go. But the Defender is probably my favorite distance driver I've ever thrown. Very fast, very overstable, goes very far. This one you can see, had the most wear on it. Starting to be kind of my long distance bomber now. So it was time to put in a new one. And I don't know if you can see that signature. It's got the Paige Pierce. This came from her backups. She knew I loved my blueberry, and that's what she calls it. She said, "Hey, I got another blueberry for you. Brand new, pop top," and I've been using it for like the last 3 weeks. Very, very long flyer. It's got a little bit more hyzer than the first one. And love using this. This is probably my most thrown one now. The other one is probably the long distance smasher, and this is the one that gets pulled on the most. And I also have a third Biofusion Defender. This has got the quad team stamps on it. Looks really cool. It's the most overstable. It's been in the bag for a few weeks. Definitely wanted to put it in there in case wind picks up and I want a really, really beefy Defender, and that's why this is in here. The last distance driver I want to talk about is the Enforcer. Now the first one I have is a Biofusion. It's the first Enforcer I got from Dynamic, and it is not an Enforcer anymore. I've beat this thing up so much that it flies exactly like the most perfect trespass you could ever imagine. Very fast, understable, but still hyzers back at the end. I use this a lot in the woods. It's also kind of like a stable roller. I don't have a trespass in the bag, but this is why. If I ever lose this disc, I'm gonna have to throw a trespass in, brand new, and I know it'll act the same as this. But really love this Enforcer for kind of long turnovers, hyzer flips, really straight shots. And the other two are white fusion, and they both, as you can see, have some dome on the top. Very, very overstable. This was given to me by Pete Casham from Kansas City. It's got the 2014 GBO stamps on it. Most overstable disc in my bag, I would think, at least the distance driver that I throw. Got this quad stamp one. It's pretty much the backup to that. I carry them both because you never know if I throw one in, if I'm throwing around water, if I lose one, I want to have the same disc in the bag that I can go to. And I know it flies exactly the same. You can pretty much go grab any enforcer and it's going to be very overstable. It's going to fight the wind. Doesn't go quite as far as the Defender, but it still goes pretty far. And I actually have two discs left that I forgot. They're kind of special though. They sit on the side. One is a hand-eye stamped Fusion Sheriff, the new Sheriff that just came out, bomber, super fast disc. I actually have beat this disc up so much that it's my distance roller. It's my backhand, sidearm. This is pretty much a roller disc. I've beat it up so much. And it's one of the best rollers I've ever used. I can throw the Sheriff flat or hyzer and give it enough air to where it hits the ground on angle and it just stands up and it always comes back. I've thrown some really far rollers with this. Hole one at Beaver State on the West Milo, or Milo West, I guess is what it's called. I threw this off the tee both rounds, threw over 400-foot rollers down the tunnel, ended up right in the spot where I wanted to be. So love the Sheriff for rolling. And the last disc is a Color Glow Lucid Defender. I know I said the Enforcers are definitely the most overstable disc in my bag, but I forgot about this. This thing flies like a beefier Enforcer. I don't even think of it as a distance driver. It's so overstable. Right now it's good for forehands that I need to skip or flare around a corner. Backhand spike hyzers. I mean, this disc, if I throw it really, really hard, maybe I can get it to go 400 feet, just very overstable. So, but very dependable. If it's ever a crazy, crazy wind that you can have it in Kansas at GBO or up at Ledgestone, anywhere that's really windy, I know I can depend on this disc, forehand and backhand. And I guess all I have left is my Mini. This is a Junior EMAC Truth Glow, got it in the player pack at GBO. And this is what I'm using as my Mini, but every time I go practice, I have to throw it. They're so much fun to throw, but definitely love these little guys. So thank you for checking out what's in my bag. I'll see you on the course.